I get pretty excited about dreams. I think they're pretty awesome. And so I always write them down, or I have been for the past year. And so I'm just going to go through some of my dreams, essentially what they ended up meaning for me. And the cool thing about writing them down is that you can go back and you can actually see how they do apply to your life and how they can actually be helpful. The first dream that I decided that I was just going to make a habit of writing them down was 1/6. It was January 6th. So January 6th, I was in this place where I was going through a massive switch over in my life. I had work things coming up. I had like financial problems. I had a relationship with my wife and children that I was trying to get better at. And I was struggling because I'm not super expressive naturally. I'm a naturally reclusive kind of guy. I keep to myself mostly. So those kind of contextual pieces in place. I had this dream as I was beginning to go into this next phase, this new year. And so I had this dream where I was on a cruise, where I found myself on a cruise ship, and there were pools everywhere. Yet in the dream, I never actually got into any of them. They were, however, central to the way that people socialized and engaged. There was constant chitter-chatter and conversation that surrounded me in these pools, but I never got in and engaged in it. And then, because I was never getting in, my wife, she wanted to get in. Makes sense. Get in a hot tub, talk, engage with people. And I never wanted to. And so she eventually just lost interest in me. I was being a boring person on this trip. So she left. And I felt abandoned. I didn't like that feeling. In this place, I ended up meeting up with a childhood friend who invited me to sit at a table in the dining room of the cruise ship, have a meal, and he also offered me a beer to entice me to go. I refused the beer. I didn't want that. But I said, okay, I'll go sit with you and eat some food. It was nice to feel included. And as I went into the dining hall, the seas started to get a little rough. And the water of the oceans started washing up over the railings. And they would wash up over this railing and it would get into the pools and the hot tubs, and the salt water was mixing with the, pool water and the fresh water there. But then as I sat down to eat in the dining hall, we sat down, and at a different table next to us, there were two very rude people at our table. And they were talking loud, and they were laughing obnoxiously, and I couldn't stand their behavior. When they thought it was really funny just to antagonize people or be rude. And so one of them reached over and poked my friend's food, and they just laughed about it. They thought it was hilarious. Well, I asked them in a direct way to leave. So they were being inappropriate and they needed to get up and get out of there. And they just resisted. They didn't see a need for that. Why should they leave? They were sitting there. They weren't doing anything wrong. I persisted that they were being an imposition and being rude and they needed to leave. And then, because I persisted, they did stand up and they finally left. And as they were leaving, I noticed something eerie through the windows. I looked out and I saw through a window cars with all their lights on, and they were positioned on a mountain. And the sight was unsettling, but it still drew my attention, and it made me want to go to the mountain. The mountain was somehow located on the ship, but it seemed normal for the mountain to be on the boat because it served as a connection to the land. It's how you'd get off the boat. But to get off, we just needed to wait for the storm before we could drive off the mountain on the cars that were on the mountain to get to the mainland. So we went to the mountain to prepare for this journey off. So we all went and found our ways to strap ourselves into the cars and to get ready for our journey back home. So I got to a car and I got my family buckled in. I remember feeling very concerned for them. Concerned how to keep them safe and healthy and happy and warm. So I got them all buckled in. And as I sat in the car with them all, I remember thinking a great worry, but also a great anticipation. And the thought came to my mind, this is going to be an unforgettable journey. And at the time I woke up and thought, wow, bizarro dream. And over the next 10 months now, I have had a ton of experiences that really line up very well with this dream. The pools and the hot tubs and the ocean are all symbolic of our emotions and how we handle them, deal with them, and process through them. And there are good ways to do it. And as we go through these hills are steep. I'm out of breath. Man, I need to get out and exercise more. Anyway, these pools represent how we handle our emotional trials or tribulations, and there's a right way to go through and process these emotions. So as I went through, realized and analyzed my habits over the past couple months, I have a tendency to just push all my emotions down. Like they're bad and they get in the way and they're troublesome. And that is far from a healthy way to handle or to process emotions. Or when I didn't healthily process these emotions, they had a tendency to come out in other ways. The oceans would get out of control and they would wash up into the boat and they would mix with these other ways. It's just, if you ignore your emotions and you don't process them in a healthy way, emotions are going to come out one way or the other. Hurt feelings are going to come out one way or the other. And the habit that I had to push them down, it's just an unhealthy habit. The dream was inviting me to take a different outlook on that. To essentially say, hey, not appropriate to be that way. Let's set proper boundaries and express when we feel that those boundaries are being crossed. Boundaries are a healthy thing. And if it hurts someone's feelings to be corrected or to be called out for inappropriate behavior, it's kind of their choice. Something I've been working on as well. So that was the dream about the cruise ship. And essentially invited me to get ready for the journey ahead and to get ready to be a better leader, stand up for my rights, stand up for my values, and stand up for the boundaries that I have, and strive to find more healthy ways to analyze and deal with my emotional struggles and process them in healthier ways so it doesn't shoot out all over the place. Awesome. That was my dream. Anyway, have a good one, guys.